welcome back to another video and welcome to your stimulus check update, stimulus package and infrastructure update and daily news report. Now, in today's video we got some good news and we got some bad news. The good news, just bring that up first, is that this 3.5 or possibly $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill is coming down the final stretch. That's the good news. The bad news is when I say the possibly $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill, that is a very small possibility. The reports now indicate that there is a higher chance this bill will be closer to $1.5 trillion as opposed to 3.5. This means many of the Democrats' agendas are pretty much going to be cut or slashed in this final stretch. We could see things like the child tax credit payments go from a possible 4-year extension down to 2. We could see Medicare completely get slashed, and I'll address that in just a minute. We could see things on climate change, immigration, and even healthcare completely done away with. So things aren't looking great there, but Democrats are still fighting. Here's what we know. In the next couple of weeks, we could see this bill pass, but Senator Joe Manchin, he is saying he is in no rush and he still is pushing for a strategic pause to see what is actually going to happen with the amount of stimulus that we've already pumped into the economy, losing their unemployment benefits and the eviction moratorium ending. He wants to see how things are going to play out first before Congress just jumps to the aid of possibly helping people before they really know who they should help. What we know is right now we are coming to an end of the talks of the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill. Many Democrats worry that enough is not going to pass in this bill in order to satisfy progressives, but the American people as well. Democrats were promising the world to the American people. And now some are saying that we promised too much, and moderates are pulling back, not allowing us to do what we need to do. They say it's going to be harder and harder to get everything through, and in the coming days, Democrats will be forced to cut or slash. They will not be able to add to the infrastructure bill. Some of their things inside their agenda that must be sacrificed, according to some, it could be from education, healthcare, climate, and most likely immigration. That's what we're hearing as of this morning. Now, we are still seeing new proposals from lawmakers that they're trying to introduce and push in to this $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill. However, many say that things are not this easy. We cannot just add in something at this point. According to a few, they're saying we're coming to the end of this, and because of that, we might not need as much. But yet, all health experts are saying in most cases, we are just reaching the beginning stages of this. Just because we have doesn't mean it's going to come to an end. It just means we are slowly taking care of things. But trying to get the remaining 80 million Americans is going to be a very tall task. Even though President Biden is pushing for it, this doesn't mean it's going to happen. Now, according to Senator Chris Coons, he had this to say about what is happening right now, and I quote, "There's more good things that we want to get done than there is revenue to do it. There are hard choices. That's the point of this month." The point of this month, and the Senate, they come back into Washington tomorrow. They'll be back tomorrow, and they'll start working on different things. However, this bill is being done by the House. The House doesn't come back into session until September 20th. So they still have another week after tomorrow. So we'll see what happens there. However, one of the hard choices, according to many, is deciding how much to actually spend. Right now we're sitting at $3.5 trillion, but many key Democrats believe that the final price is going to be closer to $1.5 trillion. This means many things are going to be cut. Now, let me just address stimulus checks at this point. If we see a bill go for $1.5 trillion, there will be no stimulus check. There will be no survival check. There will be no funding for additional checks in that sense, simply because there will not be enough money to fund it. A stimulus check that goes to over 160, 170 million Americans, okay? A stimulus check of $1,400, that costs over $400 billion. Now, to spend about 25%, okay, roughly 25% of the infrastructure package on a stimulus check, when this is supposed to be a social infrastructure package and not a stimulus package, it's not going to happen. I wish it would. I was hoping we would see a stimulus check, but at this time, it doesn't look likely if this bill goes from 3.5 down to $1.5 trillion. But as always, I promise I will keep you updated on what we're hearing. Now, some key Democrats say that we definitely need more than $1.5 trillion, but that might be the compromise. He also says we don't necessarily need $3.5 trillion, but everybody agrees that right now less is better in a time when we could see runaway inflation. Now, I don't think everybody agrees on this. However, that's what this one person said. Now, we know that Medicare is one of the main things that Senator Bernie Sanders wants to have included. Senator Sanders is like 80 something years old, 81. He's up there in age. And some are saying this might be his final thing that he does. This is going to be what solidifies his legacy. President Biden, what is he like, 84, 83, something in the mid 80s? So some are saying President Biden, he needs to do something big as well, because who knows how much time he has left. Then we got Speaker Nancy Pelosi. She's pushing for other things as well. She wants to see immigration included, but this is going to be her thing as well. We got two people, mainly Senator Bernie Sanders and Speaker Nancy Pelosi, that are pushing this agenda, this $3.5 trillion, because many believe this will be the last thing that they do as a senator and a speaker. So we'll see what happens there. But according to the reports, right now Senator Bernie Sanders wants to include an expansion of Medicare with the age go from 65 down to 60. That would bring in about 23 million additional Americans that would qualify for this. However, that would also greatly increase the cost. So what they're saying is that this might not be included. Go from 65 down to 60 might not be included, but what will be included is additional money for vision, dental, and hearing. I told you guys about this earlier this week, where we are seeing lawmakers propose a $600 to $1,000 cash voucher, which would come in the form of a debit card. According to reports, they're pretty much going to stick with a $1,000 cash voucher, but again, that could be pulled out or slashed as well. So we'll see what happens there. We also know there's a fight for the tax increases. Right now, some want to see a possible increase in the capital gains tax and take it up to about 39.5%. When you factor in taxes in California and states like that, New York, what you're going to see is it could actually go over 50% in capital gains. That's pretty rough. As an investor, that is very rough. I would have to go and look back at a lot of trades and different things like that as a stock investor, just because yes, 50% to go to taxes, that's quite a bit. We also are seeing that push for anybody making over $400,000 might have to pay a little bit more in taxes, and the corporate tax rate going from 21% up to 28%. Senator Joe Manchin is still pushing for that 25%, kind of middle ground tax number. However, that could ultimately go up to 28%, which could pretty much put prices or push prices a little bit higher, and that's going to be reflected in the grocery stores and other stores like that for people like you and I. So this morning though, Senator Joe Manchin, he did an interview. Well, he had something to say this morning, and I want to bring up what he said. Senator Joe Manchin said this, and I quote, "We don't have the need to rush into this and get it done within 1 week because there's some deadline we're meeting or someone's going to fall through the cracks. I want to make sure that children are getting taken care of, that people are basically having an opportunity to go back to work. We have 11 million jobs that we haven't filled. 8 million people still unemployed. Something's not matching up there. Now I want to kind of take this and let's go through it. Let's dive into this. Okay? Senator Joe Manchin, he says that we do not need to get it done within 1 week because there's some deadline we're meeting, or someone's going to fall through the cracks. That was what was happening before when, even when President Trump, former President Donald Trump, back in 2020, he passed a bill at the end of December because people were falling through the cracks. Unemployment was going away. They needed more there. Stimulus checks, right? We needed rental assistance. These were things that were needed. Well, then the new administration comes in, and the Biden administration comes in, and they do the same thing. Let's extend unemployment benefits. Let's provide the other $1,400 to get to that $2,000 stimulus check, right? Let's provide even more rental assistance. People were falling through the cracks. So yes, we did more. But Senator Joe Manchin today is saying he wants to make sure that children are getting taken care of. Well, children are being taken care of because of SNAP benefits. Funding for schools is helping quite a bit. And then we got the child tax credit payments. But if he wants to make sure that children are being taken care of, yet many reports are saying that he actually wants to cut the child tax credit payments instead of going for 4 years, possibly just 2 or 3. So that kind of contradicts what he just said this morning. And then he says he wants to make sure that people basically have an opportunity to go back to work. Okay, we have 11 million jobs that haven't been filled, and 8 million people are still unemployed. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. Something's not matching up, and I've been saying this for a while. It has to do with childcare. It has to do with childcare. Many people are not sending their children to a daycare center because it closed down. They do not have the space. They have to have less people in their building, which they're charging more for, and they have less people because they have to be spaced out. That's turning into a big issue. Well, they're not addressing that issue. And this is why he says we need to have a strategic pause. He says he would like to see the tax code adjusted first if he were the one writing the bill. So, according to one report, we could see something done as far as the tax code and have that being more important than the overall bill. Again, I don't think that's going to happen. It's a possibility. But as always, I will keep you updated if that is the case. Now, here's something else we're hearing over the past few days. Strategists for both parties, for both Democrats and Republicans, believe that Democrats will lose both the House and the Senate in the upcoming midterm of 2022. Democrats are urging their colleagues to pass big and bold legislation so this doesn't happen. If Republicans win the House and the Senate in 2022, that means President Biden will have 2 years where he has to deal with Republicans in both the House and the Senate. This is one of the reasons why many senior Democrats are saying we have to do it now. If we're gonna pass something, it has to be done now. If it isn't, President Biden will not get his agenda passed. His Build Back Better might never work. So we will see what happens as we move forward. If you would have asked a couple years ago if we would have seen what we're seeing right now, I would have said absolutely not. Sounds like a movie. This is a movie. This isn't a movie. This is real life. We are living it. And it's a struggle every single day. So again, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one. See you guys on the next one. See you guys.